Welcome to the Worlds of Myth, a tabletop role-playing game literally designed to recreate an anime. And not just any anime, the type of long-running, character-heavy, plot-driven anime that many of us grew up with and others are just discovering. This is Myth. Today we are going to be covering the second of the 7 core races in the Myth universe, and my personal favorite, the Angels. Before we get into that though, I just wanted to remind everyone that we currently have a Kickstarter running right now. I would encourage you all to check it out and consider donating, even if it's only $5 or $10, as every little bit helps to make this game a reality. Now, let's talk about the Angels, the purest representation of the powerhouse type races. In this video, we will start by covering the general information you need to know about them for roleplay purposes, followed by the 4 key elements that separate each race, being stat bonuses, gene slots, spell schools, and abilities. We'll then finish off with a few different types of builds to give you guys some ideas. Physically, angels are the same size and shape as humans, only they are all perfect specimens. You will never see an angel that is not supermodel levels of hot. It just doesn't happen. Additionally, angels have feathers instead of hair and all possess a set of angel wings. These wings are made of a special substance known as feather metal and are the main source of the angel's power. Here it should be mentioned that angels do have a subrace to them called fallen. A fallen is an angel who has lost their wings, usually because of a ritualistic punishment bestowed upon them by other angels, and have subsequently also lost all of their powers and memory. As a form of penance, the fallen must slowly regain their lost powers and memories. We'll get into the differences between playing a fallen and a pure angel in just a bit, but for now, just know that fallen will become gradually more powerful, while a pure angel gets most of their stuff right off the bat. It should also be noted that fallen will grow regular hair until they get their wings back, and even after that they may still retain regular hair instead of feathers. For lifespan, angels are immortal, never aging beyond their mid-20s and never getting sick unless they are under the influence of some sort of curse. In terms of rarity, they are the second rarest race in the Myth universe, and so roleplay-wise, if you see an angel, it is considered a big deal. Angels are a powerhouse type race, which is classified by having a high number of stat bonuses with a low number of gene slots. These guys naturally have superior bodies and intellects, but suffer from having less diverse skill sets. Culturally, angels are very powerful and they know it. They're kind of like the Lord of the Rings High Elves in that they are kind of just better than anyone else. As before mentioned, they are physically and in most cases mentally superior to most other races, and while their spell schools aren't very diverse, they are really good at using what they have. It's not uncommon for angels to rule over a continent or an entire world as a small elite minority, and most NPC angel characters that players meet should be relatively high levels because of their absurd lifespans and because of their own social pressures to be greater than any of the other races. Now, this is all not to say that angels are evil. Most angels are good and most do rule benevolently, but most do also suffer from superiority complexes because in many ways they are just superior. Fallen are oftentimes stigmatized by other angels and sometimes other races. Fallen are much more likely to go dark and become evil overlords with an axe to grind against their fellows. Fallen can, however, be welcomed back into the ranks of angel kind after they have completed their penance. Here it should be mentioned that there is a second type of fallen, ones which have not been punished or had their wings hacked off in another way, but are simply half-breeds or Nephilim, as some angels will refer to them. A pure Nephilim will be half-human and will operate the same way that a normal fallen will. If the fallen is mixed with another race, then you can simply use the fallen as your base race and then can add the corresponding racial gene. You can also reverse this if you take more after the other race, but today we're talking about angels. As a note from a design perspective for why Fallen exist at all, in the early game pure angels are very overpowered. So unless you are running a solo campaign with a single character, it is encouraged that players will only take Fallen because they are more balanced. On the flip side, pure angels make for some very intimidating NPCs. Now moving on to actual game mechanics. Angels receive a net total of plus 15 stats. That's the equivalent of 2 very expensive, very stat-focused genes that they get for free. If you are a pure angel, you get these stat bonuses right out the gate. But if you are a fallen, you gain these stat bonuses over time until you reach level 10. It should also be noted that one stat point is completely dependent on your wings, which we will cover when we get to their abilities. For gene slots, angels will start with only one, and will gain a second one once they reach level 15. Fallen will receive two right off the bat, but even this is considered to be a very low amount of gene slots, and this is tied to the incredible amount of power that the angels' bodies already have, which makes it less mutable. Spell schools are spell categories, and the more spell schools you have, the wider range of spells you have the option to learn. All angels have access to Aeromancy, which is wind magic, and can pick up one of the other elemental spell schools of their choosing. This can be either Pyromancy, Aquamancy, Geomancy, or Electromancy. Angels also have access to Holymancy, which, as the name implies, is holy magic, while Fallen get to choose between either Holymancy or Shadowmancy. Lastly, all angels have access to Feathermancy, though Fallen need to reach level 1 first. This is the angel's unique racial spell school, and it interacts with their wings. As previously mentioned, an angel's wings are comprised of a special organic but hard substance known as feather metal, and this spell school can allow you to manipulate it in order to fire feather projectiles, create weapons, adjust the shape of your wings, or cover yourself in feather metal armor. At its most powerful, you can cast spells like Weapon of the Archangel, which sacrifices your wings in order to create an insanely powerful sword, spear, bow, or other weapon. Or you can cast Feather Manipulation, which scatters a huge amount of feathers all around you, which you can then manipulate to either defend or attack. Now let's get into the abilities, and we'll get the most obvious one out of the way first. All angels will possess one of 5 different types of wings. The type of wing that you choose will have a small influence on your stat bonuses, but it's only 1 point. If you choose the standard medium wings, as showcased by our angel male, you'll get +1 agility. If you choose a set of 4 wings, you are considered more of a warrior type angel, and will receive +1 combat skill. Angels with 6 wings, like our beautiful angel female here, are considered to be more powerful spellcasters, and so receive +1 to their spirit stat. It should also be noted that more 6-winged angels take on the role of leaders just because spellcasters need to have very high intelligence stats to function properly. The next set of wings are the 3 wings, which are characterized by a single large wing coming from the shoulder with 2 smaller wings coming from the hips. Sorry I didn't have a picture for this one, but once our Kickstarter goes through, I'll have an example for this type of angel in the book. But in general, these angels are more physically intimidating, and will get +1 strength. The last type of wing are the Great Wings. They are simply 2 very large wings that look a lot more like this. Angels with great wings tend to be a lot more durable, and get +1 endurance. It's very important to note that angel wings are not just conduits for feathermancy spells, but are also by themselves weapons. Since they are part of your body, these weapons do not need to have a set of hands in order to wield them, so you can effectively tri-wield if you want. The wing type that you choose will determine what weapon template you will be using. So you guys know what I'm talking about when I say that. A weapon template is this. It's basically the weapon's stats and tells you how good the weapon is at attacking and defending, as well as how hard it hits. This is all before you add in your own character's stats. The second most important ability that angels have is Greater Being. Most of the other races have stat caps at 15, meaning their base stat is not allowed to go over 15. For angels, they get +2 to this stat cap, meaning that their stats, no matter what stat it is, cap at 17. This helps them keep their powerhouse status in mid and late game, when most characters are starting to max their stats. The other 2 abilities are more incidental. We have the Flying Creature ability, which means that you can fly and move 3-dimensionally so long as your wings are intact. And then we have the Eagle Eyes ability, which is basically just a weaker version of Greater Vision and gives +2 to success and challenge rolls that involve sight. Alright, now let's get to the fun part, the builds. Once again, this is not a comprehensive list. I'll only be showing 3 different builds, and the number of builds and combinations that you guys will later come up with will be astronomical. So for the first two builds, we are going to be using our wonderful mascot duo, and we'll be starting with the male, Averron. This guy's build really capitalizes on the use of his wings as a third weapon, making him a mixed ranged and melee fighter. Start off by leveling up his wings and his weapon medium shot, which covers all pistols and most handheld guns. This build will prefer to attack enemies from a medium distance, but when they get close, he can switch to his wings for defense. You can also pick up the technique Ranged Melee Combo, which will allow you to attack enemies with your guns point blank and add your wing bonuses. You can also pick up projectile spells like Feather Shot, which scale with either your intelligence or your aim, and then follow that up by picking up the technique Sequenced Attack, which will allow you to cycle through all of your types of attacks in one turn, instead of combining all of the available ones into one super attack, which is the standard method. All in all, this is a really good jack-of-all-trades build that allows you to switch your strategy based off of the situation. Next, let's take a look at our leading lady, Seraphine. Now, even though she doesn't have any type of elemental magic enhancing her spear in the picture, let's make her a self-buffing melee attacker. Start by giving her decent stats in combat skill, strength, and endurance to give her a more tanky bruiser type build, and follow that up by leveling up her spear weapon. Next, you'll want to start picking up some amplification spells. As a pure angel, Seraphine would have access to both Holymancy and Aeromancy, and for her chosen element, we'll give her Pyromancy. Pick up Fire Strike, Holy Strike, and Wind Strike. All of these spells will amplify the damage of her spear, and with her extra bonus to her spirit from her wings, she'll have an easier time keeping all three of these spells active at a time. We'll also give her the Growth Focus weapon, which will add a bonus to her spear stats so long as she is not dual wielding. This will help us conserve experience points instead of putting levels into her wings. For our final build, let's make a half-breed. We'll say this guy's father was a Fallen and his mother was a Witch. So we'll take a Fallen as his base, and then we'll add the Witch gene, which can give him access to another 3 spell schools. From the Witch gene, we'll give him Aquamancy, Pyromancy, and Mirrormancy. Having 4 elemental spell schools means that he will almost always be able to hit you with something that you will be weak against. We'll also say that he inherited a greater amount of angelic power than usual, so we will also give him the Angel gene, which gives him a total of +9 stats when maxed and a second set of wings. For his wings, let's give him greater wings and 6 wings, so that he can be a powerful spellcaster, but he can also take a hit. As a tanky mage, let's give him granite skin and feather armor so that he can just tank hits for days. For his spells, let's give him extra wings, rapid feather shot, dark strike, and ice strike. This means that he'll have the ability to grow extra wings out of his arms and then launch a barrage of feathers amplified by corrupted ice magic out of 4 sets of wings. Yeah, this guy would definitely be formidable. And that's it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want notifications on our next video, you can subscribe and hit the notifications button. Again, I would encourage you to check out our Kickstarter and consider donating so that we can make this game a reality. Until next time, my name is Averron01. Bye!